The crypto markets are potentially on the verge of a major downturn as we head into what is probably the most important week in crypto this cycle, with the long-awaited US elections finally happening tomorrow, November 5th. Now, right after that, on November 7th, we're also going to be getting an FOMC meeting where hopefully they're going to shed some light on whether or not the money printers are finally going to be turned back on. So in today's video, I want to take a look at the different scenarios that could play out if either side wins, what I'm doing to navigate each of those scenarios, and I also want to take a look at some things that I'm looking forward to in the future, both in the world of tokens as well as NFT whitelists. Oh my God, NFTs are so back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Crypto Gorilla video. As usual, I am not a financial advisor. Hit that subscribe button and let's jump right into it. So the markets took a big old dump over the weekend, which is essentially giving us a glimpse at what's going to happen if Kamala Harris is announced as the next president. And one of the reasons for the dump is that we had some new polls come in showing that she's now leading in key states, which historically have a very large impact on the election. Now, we are seeing this being reflected in the betting platforms like Polymarket as well as Kalshi, but that's exactly what they are. They are betting platforms. People are using them to gamble and they have no direct effect on the actual election. It's purely based on our own biases, desires, and emotionally based on all the clickbait articles and thumbnails that we see every single day swaying our opinions. And you can see that with all of the Web 2 polls that were just released. They are doing a massive marketing push. Trump was up over 30% on Polymarket, and he is now up less than 10% on many key states as well as the overall elections. And I call it a marketing push because that's exactly what it is. All these polls are pure garbage. The sample size that they use is very small, if they even actually call anybody. And you have to remember, these are all magazines, websites, and news organizations that are owned by individuals, each of which have their own vested interest in one side or the other winning the election. Now, I see two different scenarios that can play out. The best one, of course, is our boy getting into office. Trump wins because he's promised us a ton for the crypto markets. He said he's going to buy Bitcoin from the US Treasury. He's going to fire Gary Gensler. He's going to fix the outdated securities laws, which would make it a lot easier for many companies to operate their headquarters within America. And he's also spoken about the taxes on crypto, because a lot of people, when they start to make good money with crypto, they end up just leaving America and going to places like Dubai where they have no taxes on crypto. Now, we won't actually know if he would do any of this until he actually gets into office in January. But nonetheless, a Trump victory would make it a lot easier for us to get to 100, 200K Bitcoin and so on. And overall, he's just more bullish purely based on his stance on crypto. Now, prior to this crash that we just saw, I did see a Trump victory as a sell the news event. Essentially, we would pump so hard into the elections that it would be priced in. So by the time he wins, even though we would get a green candle on the announcement of his presidency, I did imagine we would dump for the short term. But due to this correction that we just saw, I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. I think it would just be bullish. Jumping over to scenario 2, Kamala wins, which is fine for the stock market, just like Trump. And the reason for that is the markets hate uncertainty. So they don't like not knowing who's going to win. So as soon as we have the new president announced, whether it's Trump or Kamala, things are now stable and the market likes that. And for all the trolling we do about Biden, fumbling around and Kamala not being able to answer questions, whatever, the S&P has been doing exceptionally well under their presidency, breaking new all-time highs almost every week, and crypto has still 4x'd under a Biden presidency. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom and down only, and if they get in, it means the markets are going to implode. Now, when it comes specifically to crypto, that's when things get tricky, and I like to break it up into two different categories, Bitcoin and then the rest of the crypto market. So I do see us crashing short term if Kamala is elected into office. We've already seen that in the price of Bitcoin over the weekend, where a simple poll made us go down $4,000. And with Bitcoin going down, everything goes down. So our altcoins, our meme coins, those are going to get slaughtered. And how low can we go? That's $1 million question, right? Can we go to the 50s? Can we even go to the 40s? It's all very possible. And that would definitely suck, especially after what we just went through the last 8 months, chopping sideways, and it finally looked like we were going into a bullish period. But in my opinion, all that pain would be just in the short term. As soon as the market has had its reaction, I don't think it matters who's in office. Yes, one side is more bullish for crypto as a whole than the other, but what matters for Bitcoin going up is global liquidity, the money supply, because all this stuff works in cycles. When Satoshi wrote Bitcoin and launched it, it's as if he was planning for the election cycle, the monetary cycles that we have. And I think it's way more important to know what happens with the money printers, if they're finally going to be turned back on. So while yes, a Kamala victory would be painful in the short term and our portfolios would go down in value, I'm going to immediately shift my attention to November 7th at the next FOMC meeting. One, for the rate cuts, which we're all expecting a 25 basis point rate cut, but to the language that they're going to be using around the balance sheet, and if they're finally going to start increasing their balance sheet, and if they're going to start quantitative easing again. And if that doesn't happen on November 7th, the next meeting is December 18th. So again, my attention is going to be on that next meeting, because that is the most important factor if we want Bitcoin to reach multi-six figures and we want our altcoin run that we've all been waiting for. Speaking of which, like I said, if Kamala wins, Bitcoin's going to crash and altcoins would get pummeled. And I believe a lot of this has to do with the stance that the Dems have had, or they've shown they've had towards crypto, and how they've kind of let the SEC go wild. And this wouldn't necessarily apply to Bitcoin. That's why I think Bitcoin is just going to be fine. We already have the Bitcoin ETFs and they've given us clarity on Bitcoin, but a lot of the altcoins, we have no idea what the rules are. And so many companies are scared to operate in the US because of what the SEC is going to do to them. And I feel the SEC essentially operates like a mafia, just punishing people out of nowhere. We don't even know what the rules are, and they're just giving people fines, and they're using this to keep their business going. Because if they're not out there giving fines, the SEC wouldn't be able to operate like it does. And they've previously gone after major companies like Coinbase and Ripple, both of which have made heavy donations this election to both parties. But more recently, the SEC has gone after IMX, who they sent a Wells notice to after their first conversation. So it really seems like they're not trying to protect anyone. They're just firing bullets and trying to collect those fees. So I feel like this could be a tricky week for the altcoin market. I feel it's going to be a very volatile week for crypto as a whole. And I personally have not been adding to any of my positions. And that's coming from somebody who's already quite conservative. Outside of a few gaming tokens and some meme coins, a majority of my portfolio is in Bitcoin and then some ETH and some Solana. And of course, I have stables ready to deploy if we get that major crash. Now, if we do get that major crash, there are three sectors that I'm going to be looking to pick tokens up in. That is gaming, AI, and meme coins. So starting off with gaming, and I really don't like to spray and pray here. I don't like to have 20 different tokens per sector or even in all the sectors. I like having maybe max 10 tokens in my entire portfolio. So I'd be looking to get one of the major gaming tokens, whether that's between something like AVAX, Ronin, and IMX. Personally, I would go with AVAX, one, due to the price action we've seen recently, especially around games like Off the Grid, which we're still waiting for the Guns token to drop. But they also have some major brands on their chain, as well as some huge studios building out their own L1s using Avalanche. So we of course have MapleStory, you have games like Shatterline, and I'm going to be playing in a Shatterline tournament this Saturday, so I'm going to stream that, don't miss it. And then like I said, you have companies like Faraway who are going to be deploying their L1 on Avalanche. So I think there's a ton of action happening on Avalanche. So that is one of the tokens I'm going to be picking up. The only other token I'd really consider as a gaming coin outside of individual games would be Super. And part of it is just because of Elio. It's a very strong narrative. And then he has people like Becker who are pushing the token so hard. But the other reason I'd look to Super is because I feel the price has been so resilient in this market. Anytime we've gotten a major dip, it's one of the first gaming tokens to start pumping again, or it's barely even dipped. I've been waiting to buy this token for a while and I haven't gotten any real opportunities, and I do believe this is a $5 token minimum this cycle. So if we get a huge crash and this thing goes down to 50, 60 cents, that is going to be an absolute steal in my opinion. Now, as for individual games like Carrot, like Prime, I've been very vocal about these. I do hold both of them and I am bullish on them long term. Prime has been significantly underperforming in my opinion, and it is very disappointing. I did hope that with all the attention Off the Grid was getting and people not being allocated towards either the token or the nodes for the gun token, they would look to other gaming tokens to invest in. However, it unfortunately didn't happen, and I do believe most of that has to do with there being no liquidity event for Off the Grid. They just haven't launched their token yet, which hopefully isn't a missed opportunity, as they had such an amazing marketing push with all these huge streamers like Ninja, Tim the Tapman, Shroud, all playing Off the Grid and giving it attention, getting over 100,000 people watching their streams on Twitch. And if you played the game recently, you know it's a lot harder to get players in your lobby. You're seeing a lot of the same players, and I do feel a lot of that has to do, well, one, with Call of Duty coming out, but two, with the optimization issues that a lot of people were complaining about with the game. Now, they did just release these content packs, which are politically themed, so it's very on point with both Trump and Harris in the game. They have hilarious lines. They also have some great emotes like building the wall. However, I don't feel this has done anything to pull in new players. It's just the people who are currently playing who are loving these content packs. So hopefully we do get to see the token in the near future with a major marketing push. I do still believe this is going to be a 1 billion plus market cap token. I believe they are going to get the major exchange listings. It wouldn't make sense that they do, especially with the number of transactions that they're seeing every single day. And then hopefully with the success of that token, some of the money trickles down into games like Parallel with the Prime token and My Pet Hooligan with the Carrot token. Now, the other thing I'm looking at in the gaming sector is NFTs. Of course, we have Onchain Heroes, which I've spoken about a few times. I would definitely recommend getting whitelist for this one. Of course, they have the Wolf Game narrative, where the founder of this project was the core dev at Wolf Game, which is one of the most successful, if not the most successful on-chain games that we saw last cycle. But it's also going to be one of the first, if not the first project on Abstract. And I've been saying it time and time again, there's going to be life-changing opportunities on Abstract, on Barachain, on Monad, on these brand new chains. And especially this one being on Abstract and having NFTs, I assume it's going to get a ton of support from the Pudgy community. Now, another whitelist I would try and go get is for Riftstorm, their second collection. They just had a playtest for their game. It was a super successful alpha test that was available through Steam, and it was actually trending as the #1 free game for multiple days in a row. So very happy to see them have a successful campaign. I've met this team 2 times already, and I really like them. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing their NFT collection come to life. We also finally got to see the teaser trailer for Project O by Coin Games. I actually invested in this project back in 2022, so I've been watching them build from the shadows, having plenty of calls with the team. I am super tight with their founder, Tim. I also know Kevin and some of the other team members. So I would definitely keep an eye on this one, as their preseason is going live on November 11th, and they're going to have a massive airdrop campaign to reward people. And I really love what they're building. Now, the token isn't going to be coming in the near future, so don't get excited just because there's a preseason airdrop campaign that's starting now that you're going to get the token in December or anything like that. But I do think it is going to be worth your while. So I'm going to be doing this airdrop campaign, and don't be surprised if you see me make more content about this project, because like I said, I'm friends with the team and I really love what they're building. Now, speaking of gaming airdrops, we also of course have the InfiniGods Vaults, which last week they announced that 9.5% of their token is going to the God Vault holders, on top of the 7.5% that's going to their NFT holders. And it is difficult for me to tell you if I think these are going to be worth it or not, as we have no idea what the price or supply is going to be for these vaults just yet. However, like I've said multiple times, I own 10 of their NFTs. I'm definitely bullish on this project. And when they do finally reveal that information, I will make a moon math video doing some estimates on what the vaults and the NFTs could be worth in terms of the token. But if you want to try to get whitelist, I will put a pre-mint link in the description down below. You can enter the raffle. It's absolutely free to enter, and hopefully you win yourself a whitelist. Now, of course, I am continuing to grind super champs daily. As you can see in season 1, I have 281,000 tokens that are going to be airdropped to me. And if they just manage to hit a 100 mil FDV on their token, which I feel is very possible, I'm going to be airdropped $28,000. So that is for season 1. So I'm definitely not going to sleep on season 2 because it's just free money. Their games are also really fun. We can also see that on their website, they just added a Shroopies section. It does seem like it's going to be locked until we have their TGE, but it is going to be used to reward stakers of the champ token. We don't have the full information on it just yet, but I will cover it once they finally release this. Now, speaking of their TGE, I know some people were agitated that they didn't do the airdrop when season 1 immediately ended. And one of the reasons for this is the backlog that we're seeing with all these exchanges. And I did notice a trend that's happening with gaming tokens who are saying, forget all these exchanges, I'm just going to launch on my own. And then I noticed Virtual Bacon posted this on X showing a ton of tokens that are basically following in the footsteps of Xborg, and the latest one we saw was S-World, and they're just going to market, doing a fair launch and ignoring all the exchanges, kind of going to market like a meme coin. So perhaps we're going to see this trend with a lot of the gaming coins that we've been waiting for, things like InfiniGods, Super Champs. I don't know if that's actually going to be the case, but perhaps it will be, and we will get these tokens much faster than having to wait on all these exchanges. Now, as for AI tokens, I am very simple when it comes to AI tokens. I'm basically picking one from the major 3, being Near, Tau, and Render, with the main one getting a lot of attention recently being Tau, but personally I don't mind. I would either go for Tau or Near on some major dips. I am not buying these now. I am not buying them within the first week or two, depending who wins the election. Maybe if Trump wins, I'll get some positions in. But if we're going to get that Kamala dump, I am going to wait for when I believe the market has finally settled, or I'll just DCA in. That's the smarter play. So one of the majors up here, and then I'm going to grab one of the more risk, more reward tokens, something like PAL, GPU, or Desync. I just call these the Becker tokens because I only learned about them through Becker covering them in his videos. Now, I am also interested in some future unreleased AI tokens like KIP protocol. I think AI is not only one of the biggest narratives in Web3, but is going to be the biggest narrative in Web2. However, it is quite scary to think how easily our data is just going to be abused, especially with how the governments have left us unprotected, with the social media companies basically abusing our data to not only know more info on us, to use us when it comes to the algorithm, but just to monetize us. So I just imagine how much they're going to abuse that with AI. And I think AI and decentralization are the perfect fit. And that's at the core of what KIP protocol is building, making sure to keep your data secure and encrypted. So I actually met this team IRL in Singapore. I got to have a nice chat with the founder. They were actually just in Argentina, and they are very focused on the educational side, especially that they are partnered, or they have one of their clients being Open Campus, who they're both backed by Animoca. So they're very focused on generating revenue. They are going to be working with different governments, and it's great to see them get a foothold in Latin America. They also have multiple campaigns going on, one with Gate Wallet and one with OKX Wallet. And these are going on until the second week of November. So if you want to try your luck at getting some early access to the KIP token, check out both of those campaigns. And then finally ending on the third sector, which is everyone's favorite, meme coins, which yes, they are going to get absolutely obliterated if we do see Bitcoin go down to the 50K levels, especially if we go down to the 40K levels. But the trenches will live on. There's going to continue to be daily opportunities to 20, 50, 100x your money in the trenches. Just this week, we had the Peanut the squirrel, who, very sad story. Unfortunately, he was seized and euthanized by the government, which is horrible. This was somebody's pet. Yes, it's a rescue squirrel. It's a squirrel. It should be outside, but it was a rescue squirrel and they had it for 7 years. They clearly love the pet and it clearly loved them. And I'm an animal lover. You see, I have my beautiful girl right here. She's with me every single day. And they also had a raccoon that was taken away from them as well and euthanized for absolutely no reason. So very sad. And of course, somebody made a token about it, and this thing full sent to over 100 million market cap. Obviously, with Elon tweeting about it and Trump tweeting about it, that is what full sent it, because it did trade at very low market caps for multiple hours before it started to send. Now, we also had somebody fish for information on the name of Elon's pet hedgehog. And same thing, multiple tokens came out of here. They went to tens and millions in market cap in just a few hours. So basically every single day, there are plenty of opportunities in meme coins, even though the major ones are going to be dumping. If you're playing the game in the trenches, there's so much opportunity to make money. And then just like I mentioned with NFTs going on chains like Abstract, Barachain, Monad, I believe the opportunities in meme coins on those chains is going to be tenfold. So I am definitely not going to be sleeping on that. Another chain that I've mentioned a few times is Metis, and they have not had a proper meme coin cycle. So one of the tokens that I've been eyeing is Medusa, who did just drop their website. And I love the amount of time and effort they put into the branding of their website, especially as an ex-web developer myself. I was a front-end dev. I spent years building websites, so I could appreciate this kind of work. And the main account on Twitter is followed by Metis. So if this ends up being another AVAX situation or a Linea where the chain itself is backing the token because they want that meme coin volume, they want to bring people to the chain through meme coins, this token can end up being massive. So it has not launched yet, so there's still the opportunity to get in early. So I would definitely follow this Twitter account and turn on notifications for when it goes live. But that is it for today's video. I hope you appreciate it. I will have another video probably on Wednesday, specifically on meme coins, and then every Friday, as usual, the weekly recap. Hopefully we aren't in Goblin Town with Bitcoin having nuked, depending on who wins the election. And then, like I mentioned, on Saturday, I will be playing in a gaming tournament. So I will have a stream for Shatterline, and hopefully I win. I think it's 15K, the top prize. So hopefully I win that. But if you enjoy this kind of content, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, would you kindly hit that subscribe button, smash that bell notification. Thank you for watching the Crypto Gorilla. Peace.